You're listening to Truth is Stranger. I'm Lily.
And I'm Connor. Today's story comes from Melbourne, Australia. A high-rise apartment, a garbage chute, a young woman with her whole life ahead of her, found dead in the most horrific, baffling way.
Her name was Phoebe Handsjuk, and to this day, her death remains one of Australia's most controversial and mysterious cases. Officially ruled an accident, but ask almost anyone who's looked into it, and they'll tell you something doesn't add up. So let's rewind to December 2, 2010. Phoebe Handsjuk was 24 years old. She lived with her boyfriend, Anthony Hampel, in the Valencia Apartments, a luxury high-rise on St. Kilda Road in Melbourne.
Yeah, super high-end. Floor-to-ceiling windows, concierge, all that fancy stuff. Anthony was 40, well-known, a successful events promoter, and the son of a former Supreme Court judge.
That detail matters a lot, because connections and power would soon become very relevant.
Phoebe was smart, beautiful, artistic. She practiced martial arts, wrote poetry, painted. But she also struggled. Depression, alcohol dependency, a complicated relationship with prescription meds.
She had recently been to a rehab program, but was actively trying to get her life back on track. Her family was involved and supportive, especially her mom, Natalie, and grandfather, Lorne Campbell, a retired police detective.
So, on the morning of December 2nd, Phoebe's last known movements are caught on security cameras. She's seen in the lobby just after 11 a.m., barefoot, with a plastic bag, looking dazed and disoriented, almost like she's sleepwalking.
It's eerie footage. She's pacing, pressing buttons. Her gait is unstable. Later, toxicology would show she had consumed a combination of alcohol and Stilnox, also known as Zolpidem, a sedative hypnotic often prescribed for insomnia.
It's notorious for causing blackouts, hallucinations, sleepwalking, even sleep driving. But still, nothing in that footage suggests she's planning to climb into a garbage chute.
Around noon, her boyfriend Anthony leaves the apartment. He says she was asleep. He goes to work, has lunch, later returns, orders pizza around 6 p.m.
At 7 p.m., there's a knock at the door. Building security informs him Phoebe's body has been found in the garbage room.
12 floors down, feet first, in a garbage compactor.
Let's talk about that chute for a second. The opening measured just 14.5 inches by 8.5 inches. A tight, rectangular flap set about a meter off the ground. Spring-loaded, heavy.
Not something you casually fall into. Not while disoriented, not in a drugged state.
Her injuries were horrific. Multiple cuts, deep bruises, a nearly severed foot. But here's what shocked the investigators. She was still alive when she hit the bottom.
She survived the fall, crawled around, bled heavily, and then died alone in that filthy, windowless room.
And somehow, this was ruled an accident. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Let's go back to Phoebe's jeans. They were found near the chute, not on her body, one leg inside out, as if they were pulled off in a rush. Her phone and keys were inside the apartment.
There was blood in the garbage room, and more blood near the chute. Swabs were taken, but testing was delayed, and some samples never tested at all.
Phoebe's family began asking questions immediately, and they got silence, or worse, dismissal. Even her official cause of death on the coroner's report was vague. Multiple injuries consistent with a fall from height.
Here's the thing. No fingerprints were found on the chute door. No usable ones. Which, if Phoebe climbed in herself, shouldn't there be prints? Her palm? Her fingers?
Also, Phoebe was left-handed. The chute handle was on the right. She'd have to open it with her non-dominant hand, squat down, lift herself up and backwards, and slide in feet first, all while intoxicated and on sedatives.
A forensic engineer later testified it would have been very difficult for anyone to enter the chute voluntarily, especially someone in her condition.
But none of that stopped the coroner from concluding it was an accident. Case closed.
Let's talk about Anthony. Lily.
Oh, Anthony? He lawyered up fast, didn't speak to the family, didn't attend Phoebe's funeral. 2 days after her death, he wipes his laptop. Completely.
Twice, and not just browser history. We're talking full hard drive wipe.
He told police he did it for privacy.
Here's something we haven't mentioned. Phoebe had tried to leave him multiple times. Friends said the relationship was rocky, controlling, toxic.
On the night of her death, the couple had plans to attend an art opening, but Phoebe never made it. She was spiraling. Friends later told media she'd been trying to get out of the relationship for good.
Remember her grandfather, Lorne Campbell, the ex-cop? He started his own investigation, interviewed security staff, dug through timelines, asked the questions police didn't.
He discovered gaps in the CCTV coverage, witness statements that weren't followed up, and inconsistencies in Anthony's timeline.
For example, Anthony said he didn't see or hear from Phoebe after he left for work, but security logs showed him entering and leaving the building multiple times.
Did he forget something? Was he checking on her? No clear answers.
The family pushed for a full inquest and eventually got one in 2014. But the coroner, Peter White, upheld the original finding. He acknowledged the strangeness of the case, but concluded Phoebe entered the chute voluntarily while in a sleepwalking state.
Sleepwalking? Let's be honest, that explanation is insulting.
It doesn't explain the genes, the blood, the chute mechanics, the missing timeline gaps, or the relationship red flags.
Not to mention, a key witness, a concierge, was never called to testify, and police admitted under oath that they treated it as an accident from the beginning.
And maybe that's why it ended the way it did, because from day one, it wasn't investigated properly.
A journalist named Michael Bachelard wrote a comprehensive piece on the case for The Age, and he said what many were thinking, that the coroner ignored inconvenient details.
Like how Anthony's family connections might have influenced the investigation.
Now, we're not accusing anyone of anything, right, Connor? But the fact remains the son of a Supreme Court judge was dating a troubled young woman who died in the most bizarre way possible, and he walked away without ever answering real questions.
Right, and we can't ignore the gender dynamic here. If roles were reversed, would this have played out the same way?
Good question.
Phoebe's family hasn't given up. They still campaign for a new inquest. Her mother, Natalie, continues to speak out.
In 2020, on the 10-year anniversary of her death, her friends held a memorial at the Valencia apartments, left flowers, lit candles. They're keeping her name alive.
And this case has started to gain international attention, thanks to podcasts, documentaries, and true crime forums. Because it's just not right.
There's this line from her journal that stuck with me. I am frightened of the world. I am frightened of myself.
Haunting.
Yeah, but she deserved better. So much better.
And honestly, that's what gets me the most. It's not just that this case is bizarre, it's that she never got the basic decency of a full investigation.
Like, how do you fall down a garbage chute and the case is just closed?
And don't forget, the police didn't even secure the crime scene properly. The garbage room was cleaned before forensic investigators could do a full sweep.
What? I actually didn't know that. That's insane.
Yep, the cleaners came in, did their job. Potential evidence, gone. It's like someone was in a hurry to tidy up the mess, literally.
That's straight up negligence. I don't care how understaffed or overworked you are, you don't clean up a scene where a body just landed.
Exactly. And even more disturbing, Phoebe's body wasn't taken for a proper forensic autopsy immediately. The timing of everything just screams rushed, messy, and suspicious.
And the coroner, he based his ruling on a theory that didn't even fully match the evidence. He said Phoebe climbed into the chute herself while in a confused state, but there was no explanation for how she got herself in that exact position.
Right. Forensics experts said the only way to go in feet first would be to sit down, lift your legs, and push off, which under the influence of alcohol and still knocks would be nearly impossible.
She was heavily impaired. Toxicology showed a blood alcohol level of 0.16, double the legal driving limit in Australia, and traces of still knocks.
Which is known to cause sleepwalking, hallucinations, even memory blackouts. It's been linked to bizarre behavior.
But that's the thing. Bizarre doesn't automatically mean intentional death.
And when you add in the fact that she had tried to break up with Anthony just days before and had written those cryptic messages to friends, it just feels like there was more going on than anyone wanted to admit.
One of her last texts said, "Aunt's home, gotta go." That's ominous.
Right? Not, hey, babe's home, talk later. It was like she was reporting something serious.
And the bruising on her body was inconsistent with the straightforward fall. The autopsy showed significant bruises on her arms and wrists, suggestive of restraint or a struggle.
But still, the coroner went with accident. I don't get it.
There's also the missing fingerprints. None of Phoebe's fingerprints were found on the chute door handle.
Which is ridiculous if she supposedly opened it herself.
Exactly. The door had a heavy latch. You'd have to grip it with real effort to open it, especially while intoxicated. Yet no prints. None from Phoebe and none from anyone else.
So what? Did she levitate into it? No fingerprints, no struggle marks inside the chute, just blood in the room and her pants off?
And that blood wasn't just a smear. There were multiple spatters on the wall and floor, consistent with either a head injury or an altercation.
It's just none of this adds up to she fell.
The family hired private investigators and forensic experts to re-examine everything. One expert, Dr. Bill Smock, who was an internationally recognized forensic consultant, said bluntly, "I would not classify this as an accident."
Phoebe's grandfather, Lorne Campbell, was the real hero here. A former detective, he basically ran his own investigation after the system failed her.
He reconstructed the chute, hired engineers, gathered expert opinions, and even recreated the fall. It was his mission to prove that what happened couldn't be accidental.
And they did prove it. Experts said it would take athletic ability, coordination, and clear intention to enter the chute like that.
Yet she was drunk, medicated, barefoot, and confused. How would she even manage to open a heavy chute door with no support?
Not to mention, she hated that building. Friends said she used to call it the tomb. So we've got the creepy boyfriend, the conflicting autopsy, the lack of fingerprints, the missing jeans, and the cleaned-up crime scene. But somehow, the case just stopped.
The family tried again in 2016 to get a second inquest. They were rejected.
The court said there wasn't enough new evidence. I'm sorry, but since when does a professional cover-up count as a closed case?
Exactly. They argued there was no fresh evidence, but when you barely examine the original case, how can you decide what's new?
And what about Anthony Hampel? He's still never given a proper public interview about her death.
Nope. After Phoebe, he had 2 other relationships that reportedly ended abruptly. One of those women even died tragically as well, though that case had a different set of circumstances.
Still, the pattern is uncomfortable, especially when you're talking about women who felt silenced, isolated, or emotionally trapped.
Phoebe's mom, Natalie, has said publicly that her daughter was in a toxic, controlling relationship. She believes Phoebe was being groomed and that her free spirit was being crushed.
And that's something a lot of people can relate to. Being with someone who slowly chips away at your self-esteem until you don't recognize yourself.
There's one moment that really stuck with me. Natalie said Phoebe has started writing in a private journal again, just days before her death, and then it vanished.
You're kidding. The journal's gone?
Yep, never found. She always kept it in her room, but when the family looked for it, it was just missing.
That's a huge deal, especially if she was writing about her state of mind, or, God forbid, about what was happening with Anthony.
And nobody has ever explained where it went.
You know what's wild? This case got some media attention, but not nearly what it deserved.
Agreed. If this had happened in the US with a rich boyfriend, powerful parents, and a dead 24-year-old woman found in a trash chute, it would be on every true crime show in the world.
There were even rumors that people in power tried to limit press coverage. Nothing confirmed, of course, but the way it quietly faded out, suspicious.
To this day, people in Australia, especially younger women, still reference pulling a Phoebe as shorthand for a suspicious death being brushed under the rug.
That's heartbreaking. She became a cautionary tale instead of a case that got justice.
And it's why podcasts like this exist.
Because when the legal system falls short, public memory can't.
Exactly. Phoebe Handsjuk was smart, loving, creative. She deserved a future. She deserved answers. And most of all, she deserved a real investigation.
Her family's still fighting. They've pushed for coroner reform in Victoria and broader awareness around domestic psychological abuse and legal blind spots. She deserved a future. She deserved answers. And most of all, she deserved a real investigation. It shouldn't take a tragedy like this to force the system to evolve. But if it does, I hope Phoebe's story is the one that starts the fire.
So where does that leave us? A beautiful life ended, a trail of questions, and a system that looked the other way.
But that's why we're here. Because cases like Phoebe's don't just need to be told. They need to be remembered, talked about, shared, pushed into the light.
Exactly. The more people who know about her, the harder it becomes to sweep this case under the rug forever.
And this isn't just about Phoebe. This is about every woman who's been ignored, dismissed, or misjudged because of mental health labels or relationship status. We can't let a label like troubled or unstable become shorthand for not worth investigating. Being vulnerable doesn't make you less deserving of justice. If anything, it should trigger more protection, not less.
And if we can help even one listener question a suspicious narrative or speak up when something doesn't feel right, then this episode matters.
If you're someone who's felt silenced or powerless, please hear this. You're not crazy. You're not imagining things. You deserve to be believed.
Phoebe wasn't perfect. She was complicated, real. But that's not a reason to dismiss her. That's exactly why she mattered.
And I think we forget that sometimes. That victims aren't always neat, clean, or easy to explain. They're human, and messy, and beautiful.
And when someone dies in such a bizarre, painful, unexplained way, the least we can do is ask why, and keep asking, over and over again, until someone finally answers.
Until someone says, "We were wrong, let's look again."
And honestly, that's what Phoebe's family is still hoping for. Not revenge, not headlines, just the truth.
They've said it so many times. It's not about blame. It's about clarity, about knowing what happened. Because if you lost someone this way, wouldn't you want the same?
Exactly. You'd fight, you'd scream, you'd never let it go. And that's what Natalie, Lauren, and everyone who loved Phoebe is still doing. If you've stayed with us through this episode, thank you. That means you care. That means you're part of the reason this story stays alive.
And we see you. You're the kind of person who listens to the hard stuff, who doesn't turn away when things get dark.
And we promise we'll keep bringing these stories forward. Because the more we shine a light on them, the harder it is for people to hide in the dark. Phoebe does deserve justice and closure, like so many other victims of unsolved or unexplained cases out there. Her family and friends deserve to rest easy in the knowledge that everything has been done to find out exactly what happened. And if someone is responsible for her death, they should receive the correct and relevant punishment for their crime.
I agree completely, Lily. Right, guys, we'll be back next Sunday with another strange and unsettling case. But until then, please like, follow, comment, and subscribe. And remember, truth is stranger than fiction.
It's goodbye from us. Take care of you.